Hello everybody, and welcome to my first of two videos on this, my favorite camera ever, the Leica IIIB. My favorite because of its secret, hidden candy compartment. There we go. Alright, in all seriousness, the Leica IIIB. Honestly, not my favorite camera ever made, but couldn't fault anyone for loving them. They are empirically fantastic. Wonderful shape and interface. Really, really well made. So, anyway, the Leica IIIB is a 35mm interchangeable lens rangefinder camera. Now, what that means is that it can take any 35mm film with a couple of asterisks about trimming the film. It has a rangefinder mechanism that you use for focusing instead of a viewfinder or single lens reflex mechanism, and the lenses can be removed and replaced with other lenses for use. There's no built-in light meter, so you would need to use either a light meter app, an external light meter, or the Sunny 16 rule. The shutter speeds on it are 1 second to 1/1000th of a second, also with time and bulb, which are called Z for time. I'm sorry, Z for bulb, rather. And then the slow shutter speeds on the front here are for 1/20th of a second down to time. Also, it has no flash sync on the camera. So the only way you can use a flash with this camera is if you handhold it and use a very long exposure, like a second or preferably time, or bulb being the name of the flash speed. Anyway, and then manually trigger your flash while the shutter is open. The target market for the Leica IIIB would have been advanced and professional users, which at the time of release anyway, which we know because it was exceedingly expensive, very, very well made, had a good lens lineup, and also was very chic. Chic enough that many, many clones and rip-offs of this camera were made over the years. It was produced by Ernst Leitz Optical Works in Wetzlar, Germany, from 1938 to 1941 for this specific model. And there are online, and I think I have a link in the video's description to it, of ways that you can take the serial number for your camera and find out which lot it was made in and during what year. I actually have two Leica IIIBs here that we're going to use for these videos, including one that is, when it's not in its leather case, a very, very chic lizard skin finished camera. This was preceded by the Leica IIIA, concurrent with the 3D 3A Model G, Leica 3C, and the 3D, and it was followed by the 3C. It's a very confusing lineage, I'm not going to lie. Technically the sides, we have the camera strap lugs here and here, which is what you would connect your camera strap to. This is your film rewind knob, and the arrow indicates the direction that you rewind the knob, or the film rather. This is the diopter adjuster, so that you can use this adjuster right here to fine-tune the infinity focus of your lens. Maker information, serial number, accessory cold shoe for something like a light meter or flash, although you'd have to trigger the flash manually. Shutter speed index arrow right there on the cold shoe. Shutter speed dial. Shutter release button. Film rewind lever. In this orientation, you advance the film. In this orientation, you rewind the film. Frame advance knob, and manually reset frame count dial. On the front of the camera, we have the slow speed shutter dial. We'll see how to use that in video 2. This is the lens. We'll talk about that a little bit in just a moment. On the camera's back, we have the viewfinder window and the rangefinder window. The window on the right shows you the scene at as it would look in about a 50mm lens, and the window on the left is a magnified view that shows you the focus point in the center of the frame. So this allows you to focus, and then this allows you to compose. On the camera's bottom, we have your lock and unlock right here. currently locked, zoom being locked, off being unlocked. Tripod socket, 3/8 16 on these cameras, though I believe some of them might have come with 1/4 20 adapters. Yeah. Either they were available for purchase or that some of them came with 1/4 20 adapters like my other Leica has. To get inside of the camera, we lift up this little winder and we turn this so that the arrow moves from zoom to off. And now you can see candy. Told you there was candy in these cameras. So inside the camera we have the film cassette chamber here, and in the second video we'll talk about how to load film. Here we have some mechanisms for the shutter mechanism. I believe these are shutter curtain tensioning interfaces right here. Would not mess with those, as it's a good way to screw up your shutter timing. Shutter connection linkages right in here. Film take-up cassette. If your Leica does not have one of these, you will not be able to load film in it. This is a specific Leica part that is mandatory for this camera to work correctly. Some notes about your Leica IIIB, whether you have the standard black covering on it that came with it originally, or a very slick replacement white lizard skin finish. Yes, that is a good-looking camera, I'm not going to lie. I had this re-leathered because when it showed up, it had one little piece of the black vulcanite left on it. That was it. The rest of it was bare metal. So I sent it off to cameraleather.com, and I'm blanking on the name of the guy who runs it right now. Did a wonderful job putting this on. So if you need a new leather covering for your Leica, I was very happy with the job. I think it's Jordan. I think that's his name. Did. Anyway, some notes on these. This was the first model of Leica to combine the viewfinder and rangefinder eyepieces into a single place. So this interface right here is unique to this model. Well, this was the first model that had that. In all Leica 3 bodies, not just the B, the film leader needs to have a long and skinny leader, and we'll see what that means and how to do it in the second video. If you don't have that leader, I mean, no film comes with it anymore. I remember when I first started buying film, and all film came with that long Leica leader on it. And then one day they didn't, because more cameras than Leicas didn't need it. So at any rate, it needs a special leader shape for Leica 3Bs and other Leicas, Leica 3s and other Leicas. And I'll show you in the second video how to trim it, but if you don't, you really risk, it's not a guarantee, but you strongly risk damaging your shutter if you don't have that long leader. One thing about these is the shutter button shroud here, and I believe the shutter dial. We'll see this in the second video for sure. It's been a while since I've used one of these. They spin with the shutter action, and also as the shutter is armed. If you hold the camera the wrong way when you take a photo, and I'll show you what to do and what not to do in the second video, you can cause the shutter timing to be thrown off, and you can ruin your photo. One thing, the top and bottom plates, bottom plate and top plate here, these are chrome-plated brass, and the body of the camera behind the covering is aluminum, and that's why these feel both light and solid. And you can see that a little bit on this camera here, where some of the chrome is worn off, and you can see the brass there, and also over here on this side. This one's got a little bit more wear to it, so at any rate. But the part that you can't see is aluminum. And that's it for my first video on the Leica 3. I will see you in the second. Thank you everyone for watching. If this video was helpful and useful to you, please give me a thumbs up. That lets me know that I'm on the right track and that I'm producing and creating content which is helpful to you. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave those in the comments section below. I'm pretty good about responding every couple of days and answering whatever questions you have to the best of my ability. If you'd like to subscribe to find out when I have more videos about how to use cameras photographic techniques or the best practices for the tools of the trade, by all means, please subscribe and check that notifications bell to be alerted when new content arrives. If you'd like to support the channel by joining with a membership, there are now membership options for this channel at different tiers that will give you different benefits if you would be interested in that. And one last thing, thank you everyone very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next videos. Won't we, Steinbeck? What's that look about?